Hi, everyone, and welcome to Digital Champions, where we speak to some of the most innovative thinkers in the digital space. And joining us today from New York, is Angelina Eng with IAB. Angelina, thanks so much for taking the time to join us today on Digital Champions.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is our pleasure. So tell us what you do over there at IAB and what that stands for.
Sure. IAB stands for Interactive Advertising Bureau, which is the nonprofit trade organization that develops business and technical standards for the digital advertising industry. My role here is I'm the VP of Measurement and Attribution, and I focus very much on things related to measurement, addressability, and data. And a lot of that involves, as I mentioned, building out measurement guidelines and standards, best practices. We conduct a lot of research within the marketplace and understanding things like how data is being used and ad spend activities and such.
And talk a little bit about your membership and what do they get out of this relationship? What's some of the information that they're able to mine from your organization?
Sure. We have about 850 members, member companies that span across brands, agencies, publishers, ad tech companies, and data platforms. We have several committees and working groups and councils where we work together to develop address a lot of the things that are happening within the digital ecosystem and develop solutions towards solving for some of the areas that are in need of support and standardization.
And talk to me a little bit about, is there an issue that's going on right now that you all are advocating for or discussing, examining, pushing back? Like, give us an example of what might be something that you might be advocating.
Sure. So a lot of conversations around privacy legislation and how that's affecting organizations' business approaches towards consumer trust and transparency. And so we have a public policy and legal affairs team that works very closely with several of our members to represent them at the Capitol and develop guidelines and solutions to addressing some of the issues that are in terms of providing education and guidance to legal compliance executives, to CMOs and CEOs. So that's one. Another is around the loss of identifiers and data signals through that is being imposed by a lot of the big tech companies. So if you think about Google's privacy sandbox and the deprecation of third-party cookies, or Apple iOS's app tracking transparency for removing identifiers within for advertising use, we are addressing a lot of those areas to help marketers understand what they need to do to prepare and what are some of the best practices and solutions that are out there that can help their business.
And on this show, we interview, dozens of people, dozens and dozens and dozens of digital marketers. And I don't want to call it's like the wild, wild west a little bit, but, everybody has their own approach. Everybody has their own philosophy. Everybody has their own process and methodology. And in a lot of cases, these overlap, right? The information and what they do overlaps. What suggestions could you give to someone out there? It reminds me of when websites first came, right? Everybody kind of did their own thing on websites, and a lot of times customers ended up having to find other companies to rescue their site back from another company. And so can you talk a little bit about the benefit, someone who's in the digital marketing space, why they should be in compliance, I want to call it, or why they should be a part of this group to make sure that they're not just even inadvertently or accidentally doing something that's maybe unethical or inappropriate or maybe down the road illegal?
Yeah. So a lot of companies struggle with the fact that there is too much fragmentation in the marketplace, and the fact that there are several solutions out there with different approaches. And it's very difficult for both publishers and marketers to come to an agreement around things. So at the IAB, we congregate all the different stakeholders to provide input into what impact that this has on their businesses, both financially, logistically, operationally, and from an infrastructure and talent perspective. And so when we talk about all those different things, being able to come up with solutions that is more interoperable improves efficiencies, reduces costs, provides better guidance and training for their employees. And so it's really important to have the ability to learn what other companies are doing and identifying what the commonalities are that we can agree to. And that's what's great about the IAB is we've been able to develop solutions that have improved the space over the years. But there is a lot to tackle, so we're trying to get to each and every issue as much as possible.
And
But
just when you get
being
to,
able to voice. Go ahead.
I was saying, just when you get to one, next thing you know, you have something else on the forefront. I mean, it's constantly changing.
Well, you have like three other things that come into the forefront at any given time. So it's not just one. And that's what's fun about working here at the IAB.
Well, Angelina, thank you so much. You've been such a pleasure to be on the show. And thanks you so much for all that information and sharing your insight and taking the time to join us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlene, for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. Now, hey, if you're out there, folks, you might as well look up the IAB and make sure you're in line with best practices. And thank you so much for joining us today on Digital Champions. And of course, if you'd like to learn more about the IAB, you can start by checking them out on dailyadbrief.com. We look forward to learning something new with you next time.
Simplify presents Addressable CTV, combining the power of TV with the targeting and attribution of digital. Simplify's Addressable CTV delivers massive reach with the ability to scale without sacrificing precision. TV buyers can generate incremental reach with household-level targeting, frequency controls, reporting, and insights. To learn more about Simplify's Addressable CTV and what it can do for your clients, visit simply.fi.